All right, we'll try now. Okay, see how we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to talk to you about the rocks. And I wanted to sort of look at the rocks from two points of view, and particularly what's taken place with them recently. Now, yeah, these rocks, and I'm holding one up now, the ones that have been cut like this. Here's a rock here that actually is petrified wood that's been cut and marked into a silicon. And when I show you these different rocks, and I'm just bringing them up now to remind people what they're like, here's one here. And see that little piece along the top there? That was melted a second time and then ran down the side and solidified, and it's actually been cut. And you can see the rock underneath. Now, here's one here where they put a second coat on top, and you can see what it is. It's been melted, and you can see the markings underneath, and they've laid a coat on top, and little bits of this actually come through on the other side. And so we've got proof there of the fact that these people, when they made these rocks, made them in a way where they covered them. Now here's a different rock I'm going to hold up now, and it's been cut and shaped. Now, I could do that time after time. Here's another one I'm going to try and hold up, and you'll see there's four lines that actually meet, but they don't. All four of them just miss each other. I don't know if you can see that properly. What I'm getting at is, from a technological viewpoint, these rocks are amazing. They don't fit into any accepted narrative of what's going on in this planet. They just don't. And of course, we do now know that mainstream have decided the best way to deal with these rocks is to actually ignore everything we say and never respond. So even if we hold up something like this that weighs 6.5 kilos, it's been cut, and it's got a story on that side which is a female story, and on the back it's got a male story. Even if we hold this up and try and say to people, how do you cut a slab of granite like this, and how do you put those markings on there? And if you look on one side there, down here, you'll see there's actually a varnish that's still existing that went all the way across. And there's a piece on there I'm pointing at now that's just been stuck on. Even if I show you all these things and you say that's amazing, you get half the story. And what I wanted to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen, is we did our first workshop, and right now at the moment we've been shadow banned, and it came after the first workshop. And I find that interesting because all the time we tried to put the rocks down in on Ramanjeri country, first of all the island was taken off to Ramanjeri when we set it up there. Then someone offered us some land within Ramanjeri country. He's now been in jail, hasn't been charged, he's been arrested for a really unusual charge I can't even talk about that blows me away that he was even arrested for it, if it was true, and I'm not sure it was. After 50 police came and searched his place for 5 hours, they found one object, apparently a gun that was loaded. He's been in jail for 7 months, and we're not sure he did it, and we're not sure he didn't, and even if he was, it's all a bit dodgy. And now what happens is, straight after we get results from these rocks, we get completely shadow banned. We've been banned a lot. For a while, we couldn't even get onto our own website. We can't get to anybody, and nobody can reach us, and everyone's wondering what's happened. We haven't been able to reach people for a long time. It's happened because of the rocks, I believe. All these things have happened because of the rocks. And why it's different, ladies and gentlemen, is we made an offer to everyone when they came for the first rock. And by the way, we've got links to the next rock workshop, plus the links to our next online conference somewhere on this video. I don't know where, but Evan's done that. But I wanted to talk about something. We told people when they came, if they didn't get a reaction, to come and see us, and we'd give them $50 out of the 120 and 150 they paid for 3.5 hours. And if that 10 minutes didn't work, we'd give them 1/3 of the cost of the whole thing. So we did that for two reasons, because even though we've had these rocks for a while, never before have I asked people whether it happened and how it happened. So I've never done this before, and I wasn't sure what the reactions were. Well, what we've done is we've made up a survey sheet, and I'm holding it up now, and it's broken up into three areas. Was this experience directed towards mind, body, or soul, manner of contact, and the type of message? And we asked people to give scores if they had a register. Sometimes they didn't register anything and they put nothing. Sometimes they did. Now, what is interesting about this is of the 33 responses, 32 had some form of interaction with the rocks. And the person that didn't, I won't go into too much details. They didn't buy a ticket. They were subbing for someone else, and that one of those people was the wrong person. Shouldn't have been there. They weren't ready, and I knew that in the start. In fact, I knew it when we began the process where we handed out gloves. We had to give gloves to these two people because they didn't even know they were supposed to bring them, of course, because they knew nothing about it anyway. And then this woman then insulted my wife. And later on, the same person insulted Leah. And then that person sat inside the rocks and wrote down 1 for everything. Did not get any reaction. And I was pleased because when that person insulted my wife and we were beginning the process, I looked at the rocks and I thought, I really hope you don't react with this person because that would disappoint me. You're not being discriminating. Well, it was. They got nothing. Let's talk about the other 32. And I wanted to go through some of the scores here. Now I want to make the point. It is in the interest of everyone who did this to fill it in, to come up to me and say, I got nothing, give me $50. And we would have given it to them. We made that clear and we still stand by that. We made it clear we do that. So really, if you're going to say these people made this up, if they did make it up, it cost them $50 to lie. Because if nothing had happened and they'd said nothing had happened, they would have got $50 back. Now we didn't do this simply to make that statement. We did it because we were sure the rocks were going to work. They told me they would. And I wanted to make people know that this is what they've said. They're even saying it. I didn't expect this. And now what I find interesting is I'm looking at the results there, and of the 32, let's leave out the one person who should have never got a reaction. All 32 people have marked out feeling energy waves from the circle. Now the scores they've given were 3, one person on 3, 3 on 6, 2 on 7, 3 on 8, 3 on 9 and 20 on 10. That's as hard as it can go and as high as it can go. So that tells me people felt something. Now the person who got a 3 wrote later on, I remember writing on the bottom of this person's comment, that person wrote, I need to relax a lot more. Now she did get reactions, but not as strong as others, because she even diagnosed the issue she's still dealing with. So there was the first thing. Now when it comes to where was it directed, 28 out of the 32 said it was directed to the soul. But then other people mentioned, sometimes they said it was a couple of things, and I've got 26 and 26 for whole body and mind out of 32. Now, where it gets really interesting, ladies and gentlemen, is the manner of contact, because I've got feeling energy waves, I've got hair stand on end, a vision, a voice, telepathic contact, chills and goosebumps, and then heat. And I remember when I put heat in, I wondered, why am I putting that in? It's sitting around rocks, not a radiator. But I left it in there. I'm glad I did, because I'm looking at the scores of 10. I mean, people have got other scores, but what's interesting is when I go through manner of contact, after 20 for feeling energy waves on a 10, the next one up was heat. 11 out of the 32 gave it a 10. That means they really got a reaction of heat coming off those rocks. Oh, one person said to me, I just cried the whole way through, and I didn't have an issue for that. And the types of message, I said energy flowing from the rocks. One person said they were flowing into the rocks, and I didn't write that in either. So there's variations here. But, ladies and gentlemen, after that, on 11 for heat, then I go down to 9 for a vision, 6 for voice, 6 for telepathic contact, 5 for chills, and these are out of 10, by the way, and there's scored many 9s there, by the way. There's quite a few. But what I'm getting at is that what we found when we did this, a sensation of well-being, 24 out of 33. Wisdom shared, 21 out of 33. Energy flowing into the body, 28. Charging the body. And that might go with those 10 who had that healing sort of reaction there. Now, what is interesting in this is I've got here in front of me a list of all the different answers that were given. And you know what really is the most, I think, important aspect of this is none of the same. There is not one sheet that looks like any other sheet. Every one is different. And what dawned on me is when I looked through the manner of contact, man, I've got 31, 36, 42, 48, 57, 61 tens there. And they're spread over 8 different things. And none are the same. It's like what happened is when every person sat inside for 10 minutes, the rocks then diagnosed what did that person need. How can we best suit this person and give them what's needed? Now, I've got to make the point that the way it seemed to me is we got the one person who got nothing. There were 2 people there that scored 3s and 4s and 6s, and that was it. So they got a light dusting. The other 29 out of 32, I'm not including the one person that just wasn't going to get anything anyway, but the other, you take those 2 out that got a small reaction, all of the rest were scoring 5 and above for everything. Now sometimes they got nothing because they might have got hair stand on end, they might have got a vision but didn't hear a voice. Well, they didn't put that in. But when they were scoring points, they were always 5 and above. So really, if you take 2 people out, everyone else was scoring 5 above, and the other 2 people were scoring. They admitted that. And one person said, I'm just not relaxed. But they broke through because relaxed is not a thing that would ban you from having contact. Someone insulting Leah, myself, and my wife, well, that's a different story, and that would ban contact, and it did. So what I'm saying very simply, ladies and gentlemen, is that I now know for a fact, not an opinion, not a hope, because before now, and by the way, the one thing I never asked was what was your experience, because I'm not allowed to. But I can ask the type of experience. Was it a premonition? Was it wisdom shared? Was this a sensation of well-being? Was an inflow charging the body? But I don't go past that for any details. All I was trying to do is empirically find how I can score these things. And now I can because I've got numbers, and of course I can turn that into something. And people will then say, yes, but I'm going to try to write a science paper on this. They're going to say, you won't get that up because it's all based on subjective reactions and subjective opinions and subjective comments. Yes, that's true, but so is all psychology. Every paper that's been published in magazines, be it Nature and others, on psychology, is only based on surveying what people said happened to them or the experiences they had. This is no different. This is no different. The only small difference is we're saying that rocks, inert, non-eating, non-breathing, non-moving rocks can actually directly affect people if they just sit inside them for 10 minutes. Now they might say that premise is ridiculous, and they probably do. But of the 32 people, well 33 if you include the one person who shouldn't have been there, of those people only one person didn't get a reaction, and they shouldn't have. And all the rest did that incentive for them. They decided, all of them, to tell this story, and every one of them was lying. Now, the variations that, I mean, we went from one extreme of 1s for everyone. There were some people who wrote 10 for everything. One person did, and another person wrote that in par 9. And that person wrote down the bottom a comment about the workshop, and the comment was, there are no words for what happened. Now, can I suggest to you that if that's what we're offering people, that's something that is unique. You can go and find any rocks you want. I mean, you might want to sit in uranium. You might get sick after a while. But apart from that, if you took the IUMs out, if you can sit near rocks and get a reaction like the ones these people are getting, well, you don't need to come. But again, and these rocks are particularly special for different reasons. I just showed you a couple there. All those rocks I've showed you are in that formation. Now remember, normally one rock would be enough for an elder, and that would be magic. You multiply that by 80, and what do you get out of it? Do you know what you get out of it? You got this score sheet here I've got written up, which is my score sheet that records what everyone's done. That's what you get out of it. You get empirical evidence that tells me Those rocks are actually functioning and do want to see dream each person and begin their healing process. And that's really obvious to me. 11 out of 32 people gave that a 10 for heat. Would have never thought that was going to happen. I underestimate these rocks, I always do. Because for me, I'm in a situation where I can hold all of them, but I don't get reactions. So when I say to people, you're going to get a reaction, it's a bit odd for me to say that because I don't. I did to begin with when I couldn't hold them properly or did the wrong thing. They'd punish me, trip me, fall down a cliff, throw me in front of a semi-trailer. All sorts of things they did when I didn't do the right thing. But my job in this is not to react to all the objects I've got, because if I did, I'd probably end up going crazy. I don't react like that. I don't get the reactions these people have got. I could sit there for half an hour and I would write down one for everything. I already know that. I wouldn't get a thing because I'm not supposed to. But here's the trick. Everyone else is. And that's what we're offering. So ladies and gentlemen, we have a big problem now because we can't get to anyone. Evan, are you there? No, he's gone. It's called shadow banning, and it means that basically no one can contact us. We actually made contact with a person we tried to contact 2 years ago, and he didn't know about it. Now, we knew that was happening. We were getting minimal contact before, and now we're getting nothing. So what I am asking people, if you find this information interesting, could you please share it with others, because we can't. We can't share it with anyone. In fact, putting this video up today, it took Evan about 15 goes and about an hour and a half before he broke through. Before that, he couldn't even get on. We're not sure if we can get on again. This is a one-off as far as we can see. It really is bad at the moment. We don't know why, and I'm not going to make an opinion why, because if I do, we probably get kicked off even more than we are, which is virtually everything. But what I can tell you is, ladies and gentlemen, if you take out the one person who should have been here, we had 32 people who responded. And of those people, nobody told me they didn't get a reaction off the rock or the rocks. And many, well over, around about 95%, 93% I think, got reactions of above 5 for everything. 5 through to 10. Now, this workshop we put on, we have got a lot of things going on at different times. You do actually come inside with the gloves on, and you get 5-minute sessions twice where you get to be an archaeologist, where I just give you a rock with another person. You do it in groups of 2, and you've got 5 minutes to actually work out what's going on. You write down your answers, we put them up, and we discuss them, and we do that twice. You also spend 20 minutes sitting around the circle with gloves on again, and you get to look at a lot of these amazing rocks close up, which you won't get any other way. What we also will be doing this time is filming it. Now, obviously, we won't be charging as much because well, we're not feeding you, and Leah's not flying up for that for you. He's flying up for someone else, so we don't charge for those sort of things. It'll be a lot less. But what we will do in the finish is we'll put the camera between the rocks for 10 minutes. And strangely enough, we did this once before with the rocks, and it worked. Now, it won't be as good as sitting between them, but there's a lot of people who can't get here. It's not a bad second best. And what we'll do this time around, we'll see if we can find a group that don't mind being filmed too much, and we'll just film all of the workshops. We will not be filming people sitting inside the rocks, because that's a private piece of work for them alone. That shouldn't be filmed. But we will take the camera and put it inside that work, inside the actual circle of rocks for 10 minutes, just like the others. And the rest of it, you'll be in for the workshop we're doing and all the stuff we do there anyway. So there's 2 parts to it. So ladies and gentlemen, I've got an article that I've just finished. I'm about to put up in a couple of days, and I'm pleased to say it's less than 1,300 words. I've never done this before. And I was going to put it up today, but then it confused the issue. For me, the thing I wanted to talk about today, apart from the fact we've been completely banned and we can't reach anyone, we're asking you to help us, is that the story about these rocks, I've now got proof. Same offer applies. If you get no response, you get your money back. And I don't make a judgment. I mean, I will this time because we were being insulted by that person. And I would ask, if you're that sort of person where you want to insult myself, my wife, and Leah, please don't come. If you don't like it, don't come. This person was filling in and didn't enjoy it and shouldn't have come. But I'm sorry if that person's listening right now, but you shouldn't have come. You really shouldn't have, because you're not ready yet. You may be close. And that's the point I want to make. If someone else comes along and it doesn't work, they may feel embarrassed and feel like, oh, geez, I better not say it after hearing that. No, it doesn't mean that. What it means is the rocks have decided for whatever reason you're not quite ready. Now, it's possible this person will never be ready. And it may be that someone comes along, doesn't get a reaction, and they've got most of their head in order, but there's something hiding deep within that you haven't got on top of. That's all that's going on. And don't feel like that's a failure, because nobody's perfect. Least of all me. In fact, I didn't get any reaction, so there you go. I mean, if I was the one, I'd just say ask them for the money back, because it's not going to work. But I know what my job is. My job is not to go through the experience of what they're doing. I've seen what it's done to others, and I've seen what it did to me to begin with. Believe me, I know it's there. I've watched what these things have done so many times. I know it's there. What I was never sure of was it prepared to share with people in a positive way and make them better people. Not one person in that list said they got any negative reaction from this, so the answer is they are. And the second part is that everyone that should have been there, that was there, nobody asked for their money back, and nobody felt like this was not fair. They really enjoyed what they got out of it. Now, we're doing them each month. Because of our shadow banning, the sales, we nearly sold out the second one, and then basically for a week and a half, everything stopped. No one could get in, no one could get out. So I still think there's a couple of seats left for that one. And after that, we're going to change completely the content for the next two that follows. We'll still do the workshop as before, but if there's a lot of people coming again, we'll do different rocks. I mean, there's 80 odd to look at, so that's not an issue. That's really easy to do. And we're doing a story written by, actually an account of someone who was white, that was initiated a long time ago and is considered the best account in this country. Well, we're doing sections from that book. We'll move to another section, so everything will be different. So people who came before, they've got such a great reaction, and if they want to come back and do it again, I want them to have that right. So, my invitation is to come and join us. Evan's left me alone here. I'm going to try and turn this off now. Oh, here he is. I'm going to do it. Don't need your help, Evan. I've told them we've been shadow banned, whatever that meant, and we need them to help us share this around. And it took you all day to get me on once, didn't it, Evan?
That was fun.
Yes, it was. You were very frustrated because at one stage I left. I figured I'm going to go and play tennis. You're never going to get through. And just after I left, you got through finally. So this one might get out. Then again, it may not never get out, Evan. I might be just talking to myself. We don't know, do we? We'll see.
Just
End live video.
oh, hopefully.